How's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in, and if you've been here before, smash the like button on the way in. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny, and I've got new releases from Tenable. Thank you to Tenable for reaching out and sending these my way. There's been a wave, a tsunami of budget knives this year, and Tenable has been in the mix, and they've been doing some really exciting things. And so let's go ahead and talk about the Model 6 and the Ray. And we're going to start off with the Tenable Ray. The Tenable Ray is, of course, based on the concept Ray, but this in a very affordable package. First of all, you might be saying, whoa, how much is budget? Because in the past, I have said that I consider anything under $100 to be budget. Well, in this case, this is going to fit most people's definitions and not just my own. It's going to be coming in at $56. What do you get for your hard-earned 56 doll hairs? Well, you get a nearly full-size knife coming in at 7.5 inches long with a 3.3 inch blade. The blade itself is this really well done stone-washed finished 14C28N. We've got a very aggressive swedge here towards the tip, making this very, very pokey and stabby. That's nice. It's very nice, in case you need to really get in those Amazon packages. For deployment options, we have a double-sided thumb stud and then, of course, a flipper tab. The handle scales are micarta and it's running on ceramic bearings with a swappable pocket clip. You can take the pocket clip and move it on to the other side. Lockup happens with this really well done liner lock, and lockup and lockout is going to be coming in somewhere around the 25 to 30% range, which equals, yes, pretty good quality of life there. No wiggle or jiggle. Blade centering is also pretty darn good. How's the action? Well, on a flipper tab, I can't fail this. And of course, it is nice and fall shut. Is it fidgety? Yeah. What about the ergos? Talk to me about something important. The ergos feel really good. In a regular hammer grip or, a saber grip, depending upon what you want to call it, it's nice and comfy. Micarta is a very, very good budget option when it comes to less expensive knives, but let me know in the comments section down below, what material do you prefer on less expensive knives? Think in the $50 price range. The hardware is T6 body screws with a non-captive T8 pivot. I do typically like to see a single-sided captive pivot, but when we're talking about the $50 price range, that is very forgivable. The pocket clip is a deep carry as well, and you're only going to have a tiny, tiny bit sticking out of your pocket. So when it comes time to conceal it and put it away, it will, of course, go into its home. No muss, no fuss. This is great. This is definitely what I would consider to be a more aggressive blade shape, but it's not trying too hard, and the quality of life is definitely there. On a more affordable knife, what I look for is high quality in things like the action, the lockup, the cutting edge, and we will, of course, do a cut test by the end of the video, so if you want to see that, make sure to stick around. But the ergos are of utmost importance, and they did a phenomenal job on here. If there was one thing that I really did want to cry about, it's the lack of jimping here on the spine of the blade, because we have a perfect spot where we could have put in some jimping and that would have just locked out our thumb in that support roll. It's not there, not a huge deal. I cry about it. Most people probably won't. But there you have it, 56 bucks for the Tenable Ray. I think that this one is an absolute banger at that price point. But now we got to talk about the one that really, really impresses me. This is going to be about the same price. So we're talking about 56 bucks on Tenable's website. And guys, there will be links in the description down below. So if you decide that you want to pick one up and support the channel, please feel free to use those links. Also, I have seen these available on White Mountain Knives. With the creator discount code, you could use mine, RSB10 at White Mountain Knives. Will save you 10%, and you could get this a little bit less expensive at 53 instead of 56, but I'll leave that up to you. This is the Tenable Model 6. The Tenable Model 6 is, of course, a Nick Swan design based off of the concept Model 6. And how well did they execute? They nailed it. This is a home run for a multitude of reasons. A plethora of pros, a cornucopia of goodness. The moment I took this out of the box the first time, I knew this is a banger. Let's first of all talk about the design a little bit. Much like with the Ray model, this one is going to be coming in at 7.5 inches, which is just shy of what most people would consider to be a full-size knife. Also containing a satin finished 14C28N blade with a rising grind. I love seeing these rising grinds. It means that it stays thinner towards the tip of the knife, which is really good for utilitarian type tasks. It's a sheep's foot style blade, not quite a Wharncliffe. We have a little bit of belly right here. And then of course the spine that stays thicker all the way up until about the tip, but it stays thinner on the blade geometry. That's a little bit of voodoo that I really enjoy. The handle scales on this one are G10, but you can get it in both micarta and twill carbon fiber, and the price doesn't change no matter what you decide to go with. The backspacer also doubles as a big old lanyard hole, but I don't mind it. I actually think that it looks kind of cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. The thumb studs are these triangular deals right here that I was a little bit curious about. At first I was like, well, are those gonna work kind of like thumb discs? Because I'm not a big thumb disc person. And then I deployed it and I realized that these are quite possibly some of the best reverse flicking thumb studs that I've encountered, specifically on a crossbar style knife. Speaking of crossbar style knives, 56 bucks for this with this locking mechanism is outstanding. There are a few other companies that do budget knives with the crossbar style locks, but this is probably the best executed I've seen this lock style with a knife in this price range in a couple of years. I'm really enjoying this. The action is definitely silky smooth. It has a bias towards closure once you get to about this point right here. And so that means that the action is just going to suck the blade back in whenever you go to release it, and it feels good. There's no grinding, there's no grittiness coming from those ceramic bearings. It's very well executed. How's the ergonomics? Ergonomics feel fantastic. Honestly, while the clip is of course of the stamped variety and it does have the propensity to potentially be uncomfortable, it's not. It disappears well in the hand. And more on the pocket clip, it is reversible. Why do they make crossbar style locks with non-reversible clips? I don't know, but we don't have to worry about it on this one because they nailed it, and it is. That makes this knife completely and fully ambidextrous. I'm really enjoying the scalloping here on the scales as well. That helps with the ergos, and ultimately it feels very premium and very quality for this price point. This might be one of the best knives released in the $50 and under category all year long, period. But you might be saying to yourself, Rollshambo, that sounds good and fine and everything, but these are first and foremost tools, and that's how most people will use these budget knives. So how well does it cut? Let's go ahead and get out a scrap piece of cardboard and find out. Starting off with the Ray. The Ray, of course, is flat grind. These both are flat grinds, and I would say that that is, decently thin behind the edge. Yeah, performs really well. Could it be slicier? Sure. Put your own edge on here and this baby will 100% go to work. But as of right now, the factory edge is more than adequate. And what about the Tenable Model 6? How does this perform? Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, this is really slicey. This is definitely a good cutter. Yeah. The Model 6, if this was a competition, I'll say this, the Model 6 definitely takes the cake as far as cutting ability between the two of these. And you know what? You've got to give it up to Nick Swan, the designer of the Model 6. Nick Swan is a retired law enforcement officer, and he doesn't believe in safe queens. He doesn't believe in knives that don't get carried, and that's fine. I know that a lot of people have that idea where they're like, oh, I have to use everything. And then there's people who are like, I use most things, but I have my safe queens. Nick Swan has prided himself in creating knives that everything gets carried, and that aligns very much with my own philosophy on knife collecting and being a knife enthusiast. I also don't own anything that I won't carry. I don't have any safe queens, even though I do have knives that spend a lot of time in the case. Everything gets carried. Everything has to have a utilitarian purpose because that's the foundation. That's the basis of my enthusiasm for the hobby. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I'm extremely impressed with the Tenable Model 6. For $56, this is an absolute steal. And if you are looking for something that would be a great gift for someone, a good gateway knife, this would be an amazing gateway knife for somebody. If you've got a lefty in your life that's just tired of having to use knives wrongly because they can only find right hand carry knives, this is a great option. If you love crossbar style locks, this is a good option. I think that both of these knives are fantastic. If I could only pick one, which one would I choose? Obviously, I'd choose the Model 6, but I'm also very happy with the Tenable Ray. I think that the execution that Tenable is bringing to the table with these knives is next level for its price range. It's not just good, it's great, and I'm really excited to see what they come out with next. But I'm curious what your thoughts are. What do you think of the latest and greatest from Tenable? Do you have a favorite model that they've released so far? Are you going to give one of these a chance, or have you already pulled the trigger? Let's have that discussion in the comment section down below. If you watched this far and you haven't done so yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button that's about to pop up here in the corner. But if you just want to watch more awesome knife and EDC content, go ahead and click on one of the videos that pops up next.